break it down, no script, no mold. Raw and uncut, every gem is gold. Locked in now, let the facts unfold. You bringing heat on Truth Be Told.
Yo, what's going on, squad? Welcome back to the Truth Be Told podcast. I am your host, Q. And before we get started, let me please wish a happy heavenly birthday to none other than my father, Willie Haynes. He would have been 78 today, one of the greatest men to walk the face of this earth. Supported everything my sisters and brothers and I did, both my parents. Just supported everything, positive that is. Happy birthday, Pops. Love you for life. So that brings me to my next segment here. So for those of you that may or may not have heard, if you watch the news, depending on what type of news you watch, last week in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, well, there's a rapper by the name of Ronnie Sibley, who's more known in the rap community, independent rap community, as G Money, Lil Ronnie. Well, he's pretty predominant in the industry, in the independent industry. He was just on tour with Soulja Boy, very close. I mean, companions with Soulja Boy. So that kind of gives you a good idea of that, you know, that rap family encasement there. Last week, Ronnie Sibley and his 5-year-old daughter, Armani Sibley, were at a car wash. And at this car wash, at the time, G Money was vacuuming out his car while his daughter was, sitting in the car. There's another car with two men that had driven up. These two men exited their vehicle, high-powered weapons, came around the corner where G Money's car was located and ambushed that car. They unleashed a barrage of shots on that car. And you'll see on the footage where shortly following, Mr. Sibley attempts to flee the scene. You also see where the two men aimed at Mr. Sibley as he was fleeing across the parking lot, and he was fatally wounded. Now, let's back up a little bit. If we back the scene up, when these gentlemen first came from around the corner, the first thing that they did was open fire on the car. When they initially opened fire on the car, according to police, Armani Sibley was fatally struck. Now, it's unknown whether or not the father, Mr. Sibley, was aware that the daughter was struck at the time prior to him fleeing the vehicle. Now, here's why I decided I really decided to do this segment. I was watching a podcast, Anton Daniels podcast, where he was berating this man, this father, because he fled the scene. And he was really going in on the dad, and I went straight to the comments because I already had my thought process of what may have happened. But I went straight to the comments to see what were the people saying. It seemed to me, again, we are all unaware whether or not Mr. Sibley had known that his daughter was struck before he fled the scene. But a lot of us will tell you what we would have done and what we, the hero moves we would have made after the fact. So we're playing the Monday morning quarterback. Most of us that are making comments about what we would have done has never been in a situation where you're being shot at. One, the two men had, it was reported, a high-powered shotgun and an AK-47, along with another handgun. They were shooting all the weapons. So it's different. I think that Anton Daniels was saying, and I get it, as a father, you want to say, hey, I would have protected my child no matter what. I think what he said was, even if I would have shielded my child, I would have gotten over my child and shielded my child. Understand this. when you're caught in a situation like that, nobody knows what they would do because your brain goes into fight or flight mode. And fight or flight mode does not allow you to sit there and math out logic. You don't have that kind of time. It allows you to react. And what I'm thinking that happened is that Mr. Sibley, once it was evident that the barrage of gunfire was coming to him or toward him, that he was trying to divert the action away from his child. And I think that that would have been an honorable move because, as it was stated on the other podcast, I would have shielded my child. Let me explain to you what shielding your child would have gotten you. Shielding your child would have gotten the two gentlemen to come closer and do what they came to do while they were standing right there over you. And the weapons they were using were designed to penetrate walls. All you would have been effectively doing was guaranteeing the unaliving of you and your child. I think that Mr. Sibley was trying to divert the action away from the child. Now, the two gunmen were caught. There was an Adonis Robinson and a Jacoby Russell. Adonis was caught first, and a few days later, Jacoby Russell was apprehended. I'm going to stretch over to say this. It took me a few days to kind of do this segment because I wanted to know a little bit more about the artist, the father. Now, everybody's reporting, and there's no need to think otherwise. This dude loved his daughter. He was a loving father. He was a supportive father. He was a father that was there. As a matter of fact, the picture that you're looking at right now, the reason why he's taking the picture with his daughter and the girl is because they were at a function, a donut day with dad function. And the other child's father couldn't make it. So Mr. Sibley and his daughter thought, well, and he became the surrogate father for that time. That was the type of father that we're talking about. That was the type of man that we're dealing with. Now, on the other hand, I noticed that the rap space that he was in was a lot about money, was a lot about gang activity. And that became a telling point on where life and art were different. However, they intersected. I just want to point out to all the people that are in that field, that rap game, because it's different now than when we were growing up. When we were growing up, there were rap artists that just happened to be, there's some rap artists that happen to be in gangs. Now, these are gangs that just happen to know how to rap. That's what it looks like. In this form of business that you're in, you're inviting your family into this space unintentionally. It was reported that nor Adonis or Jacoby knew that the 5-year-old was in the car. And I believe that doesn't escape the fact that you guys are in Texas on capital murder charges, and they're probably going to give you the penalty. But why is it that we just can't go out and perform? Why is it that we can't just go out and be artists? Why is it that we can't just go out and just present our talent? We can't keep sitting back pointing fingers at other people about what's going on in our community. This has to stop. This is going to be part 1 of a 2-part segment. I'm going to release the other part tomorrow, and the other part is pertaining to the mother of the child, and her reaction following this situation. I promise you, I'm going to find something good to do a segment on. I'm going to find something to report. I'm just really embarrassed and upset with the young men, especially in the rap community. This has got to stop. At what point does it stop? At what point does it click that there's nothing in this for you? There's nothing in this of any positive gain for you. I don't know. Stay tuned for part 2. Thank you for joining me again at the Truth Be Told podcast. I'm your host, Q. Until next time, I'm out.
You bring it, you on Truth Be Told.